Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. A very good day to you both. I just got thinking, Nigel, when it comes to the Champions League football in midweek, Arsenal were pretty flat against Paris Saint-Germain. And when you looked at their bench, there wasn't a lot in terms of what Mikel Arteta could do to sort of switch things up a little bit. And I just started to think Premier League teams at a little bit of a disadvantage at this time of year. And does that factor into any sort of your betting when it comes to both the Premier League and indeed European betting? Good day to you.
Good day to you. Yeah, it's been a long season, as it? The teams are getting very tired. The Premier League is always that kind of thing. And usually when England go into a major championship, half the players, their best players in world football, not in England, in world football as well, aren't fit. It shows on the show. Week 35, we're all lagging. There's no one on the bench to replace me or Jack. We're getting to the end of the season. But it's been a long stretch. And obviously the weather's changing around now. It was a hot night the other night for the Emirates. It was a real hot, humid night. The players weren't used to that as well. But I just felt that that Arsenal performance was a little bit flat because maybe crowd expectation. You were there. You would have felt it beforehand. Great, unbelievable. We're going to do what we did against Real Madrid. Goal conceded after 2 minutes. That was it. Game over. And to be fair, let's not take anything. Paris Saint-Germain were absolutely excellent on the night. So the optimism was taken away from them. Still in with a tie, but I think it's very hard to lift teams. You can't turn results on and off. I think it's very, very hard to lift. Once you know you're safe, once you know you're in that position, once you know you've got bigger things to come, like Arsenal in the Champions League, teams in the FA Cup final now, teams in the Europa League semi-finals, very, very hard to switch it on and off, your motivation. So, but that's all factored in the prices, and we're going to go through and try to find where the motivation is. I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, I'm not lacking motivation today. I know you've got me up early, but I'm full of it today, and I'm ready and raring to go to continue my good run up them rails, straight the winning line at the front to go to the top of the Jack and win, get us in profit.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a look at the P&L before I ask Jack about fatigue. And so the P&L is up on screen. For as you can see, Nigel is inching closer to profit for himself, and indeed, I mean, we are just an nth away from profit for the show here. I am very confident we can turn it around over the course of the final month of the season. Just on the fatigue front, Jack, I mean, do you look at player minutes and things like that? I mean, I looked at some of the Liverpool stats. You know, they've got, I think, 10 players, 2,000 minutes or more, couple of players, outfield players over 3,000 minutes. You look at some of the continental squads, PSG, I know they've got fewer games in Liga, and Barcelona as well. They don't seem to hammer the players as much as we do in the Premier League.
No, absolutely. Good day to you both. Good day to everyone watching and listening. But yeah, I think what we never ever see in the Premier League is what PSG had a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? Where they had the week cancelled for them so they could rest, recover and prepare for the Champions League tie. So that's just not ever going to happen in the Premier League as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that's going to happen. Certainly not happened previously. So, yeah, and also you just got to look at the individual players as well. It's not a broad stroke, is it? Because you've got the likes of probably Declan Rice. I think Mo Salah, you see him getting taken off after like 87 minutes and he's fuming. If he's not scored, he's still got a chance of scoring. There's certain players that just have to keep playing and keep going, keep them in the groove. Others you can see just are flat and need the rest. So, yeah, horses for courses to continue Nigel's analogy of running up the rail, but I know he's there. I can feel the hot breath down my neck.
Not quite sure what to make about that. Tag us in. Because we win. We're on Instagram as well at Because We Win. We've got the newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. Beware of imitations, incidentally. This is the first and the best when it comes to the newsletter. Look, there's an awful lot coming your way. If you're a Betting Weekly follower, we obviously launched the tennis live Monday through Wednesday not so long ago, and we've got more coming up over the course of the late spring into summer. We will have a live baseball show for you. We'll have a live basketball show for you as well. I mean, ultimately, Nigel, this is going to be running into sort of, you know, sports betting advice and entertainment from sort of mid-morning Eastern all the way through to the evening.
Yeah, there's loads of more content coming through the baseball, the basketball. We're going to hand over to the American panel who will be giving you the best bets throughout the evening on live sports going on the stateside as well. So it's ever evolving, lots of stuff coming on the channel, and it's getting bigger and better with the newsletter as well, incorporating that. So it's a joint effort from all the sides across the pond. The UK side over here, the European-based side, and then the American side will take over. But it's getting bigger and better. And it is the #1 sports betting channel on YouTube without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, get your comments in on YouTube. We're always on hand to Have a look at what you're betting. If you're fading us, you're tailing us. Let us know if you agree with our picks. Get your comments in as you usually do. Couple of questions off the bat then for our first game, which is Friday night, which is Manchester City versus Wolves here, 3 p.m. Eastern. And the two questions for bettors really here is, are City back after 4 wins on the spin? And are they trustworthy at big minus money? Or are Wolves back after 6 straight wins? And a few years ago, you'd always look, Nigel, and I'll get your lean on this before we get a play from Jack. You always look to Wolves and think they've always got a good puncher's chance of covering an Asian line against the big teams, but they've had a shocking season for the most part. But now they're $8 to win at City here. I mean, is that a value play? How do you see it?
Well, on current form, it's not a
worst,
value play, isn't it? And I mean, these two sides of the informed teams in the Premier League. Obviously, Man City coming in here unbeaten in 8, 4 successive wins, and Wolves can match that. They're unbeaten in 8 and 6 consecutive wins. So they're both the two informed teams in the Premier League. I would say that Wolves' fixtures been a little bit relatively easy at this time of the year. Not easy, but they've been much. This is the toughest one of all those challenges in that unbeaten run. And the thing about Manchester City is when they come into that final stretch, they like to have a target. They've had it for years, and the target has always been to win the Premier League title. They put the foot on the accelerator and they go zoom, and that's what they're doing at the moment. And that is their target this time around, is Champions League football. And I think once they have a focus, once they have a goal, Man City are formidable beasts. When they lose their way at the start of the season, in the middle of the season, in positions that they didn't expect them to be in, and a lot of injuries at the time, then maybe they're the side to fade. But I wouldn't say they're completely back. I wouldn't say they were back to their best from what we've seen, but they're a club in transition. They're a club that are looking at new players, new systems for next season. I think they'll be back and ready with Pep Guardiola. Get some more players in the summer, in the transfer window, and they'll be a major force again in the league for next season. But for now, I think they're good. They've got goals in them. They scored 2 goals in 7 of their last 8 matches, but their big problem is conceding goals, and that is where I think this will be concentrating on here. The reverse fixture was a 2-1 win for Manchester City, so Wolves scored in that. Last season, it was a 5-1 and a 2-1 win for Wolves in this fixture, but there was goals from both sides, and that is where I think the best bet in this match lies. The goal line is 3.5 with Bet Rivers, so they are expecting goals, but the both teams to score market is -122, which is basically writing off a lot of the chances for Wolves to get a goal in this match, and I think they will score in this game. So, I expect Man City to probably edge it, maybe 2-1, 3-1, something like that. But I do think Wolves will score. And my best bet on this match is both teams to score, yes, at -122. We come into that kind of time of season now where goals go up. The weather is good, goals go up, and it's sort of correlation that goes on from now to the end of the season. They go up by about 0.3, 0.4 per game. And I think this one here will be goals. So both teams to score, yes, -122 is my lean.
So lane from Nigel, definitely right about the goals. They have crept up across Europe. We have got an official play in this one. It is a hot dog pick. Jack, you text me early week because you're a little bit concerned about the price, but it's just about held on for hot dog status, this, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. It was +205. It's still +205, but it's just the right side of where we need to be. I'd imagine if there's a bit of narrative around this particular player in the build-up to this game, then we might see it just dip under that mark. But for now, it's good. It's a hot dog. It's +205. And that player is Matheus Cunha, who's come back in after his suspensions and kept on doing what he's been doing all season, really, for Wolves. A really, really strong campaign. And he's obviously looking for this move in the summer. And I just think this is the perfect stage for him. In the UK, the Friday night game kind of gets a separate billing. It has a bit of a spotlight on it. And I think he'll want to do it in, say, Pep's back garden here. He'll look to show he's the best player on the pitch. Not necessarily to engineer a move to Manchester City, but he's obviously looking to move to one of the elite clubs, either in the Premier League or possibly outside of it. It didn't quite work for Atletico Madrid, but he's certainly shown what he's capable of for Wolves. And I say he's been on fire. Wolves on fire themselves. No side. Only Newcastle and Liverpool have won more games since Vitor Pereira's come into the football club. I'm with Nigel on it. I think they might just fall short here, but I think they score. And I'd be shocked if they score if Cunha's not involved in it somewhere or other. He's been involved at least 1 goal in his last 7 of his last 9 appearances for Wolves. He was involved in all 3 of the goals last weekend in that 3-0 win. Scored 1, assisted 2. He's on their free kicks. He takes their set pieces. So the assist is live, but he loves a shot from range. He loves a shot from distance, and he'll be desperate to get on the score sheet here. So 15 goals, 6 assists across 29 appearances in the league so far this season. He missed 6 games through suspension. So plus 205 to score or assist. That looks like a really strong play for me, and it should be an entertaining game.
We're looking for goals. Hopefully both teams to score, yes, for the lean, but the main pick and the hot dog pick is for Cunha to score or assist at plus 205 for Jack. Let's get to the early Saturday game here, which is Aston Villa versus Fulham. Villa are minus money. Nigel, their season is slipping away a little bit out the Champions League, out the FA Cup in the last fortnight. We talked about their home record a lot over the last couple of years, really, on their on this show. They are profitable just if you play them on the money line at home, but not so much when they're minus money. They do show a loss. Do we trust them here against the Fulham side that still have got a little bit of a squeak to get a European place, depending how low that line comes down to when it comes to Europa League, or most likely Conference League for sort of 8th or 9th?
I think it's going to be very hard to lift for Villa. I think that they just didn't turn up at Wembley last week. I know Crystal Palace were exceptional in that match, and they deserve all the plaudits they got. But Aston Villa didn't turn up at the big game, and they're just going to fall short. I think they're going to fall short in an epic match against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, where they pushed the team that looked likely to win the Champions League all the way, and could have probably nicked it in the end. They fell short going to fall short in the race for European football. I believe it's been Champions League football again, and they're going to fall short in the FA Cup. And I think it's very, very hard to lift the team after that. I think also think there's going to be a little bit of a downward spiral from the fans as well. I mean, they've been absolutely brilliant this season, long hard season for them, and they've been lifted them in big occasions. But I think this is a real tough ask to get yourself back up for a big match for them. Fulham are a side that I wouldn't really like anybody to play. I think they can turn their style on against anybody, whichever when they want to turn it on, they can be brilliant. They're exceptional. They've been great on the road, very entertaining. They've been entertaining all season. And again, I think the best angle here is for goals. I'm looking at both teams to score again. I mean, we know that Fulham have been both teams to score kings in the Premier League this season. 74% of Fulham's games this season have been seen both teams to score. Obviously, for Aston Villa, Marcus Rashford is out now for the season, which is a bit of a blow. So suddenly you've got a replacement, on the bench when things aren't going right. You can replace Watkins for Rashford and Rashford for Watkins. You've lost that angle for Aston Villa here. It was 3-1 early in the season again. Villa won 3-1. Good performance. Last year was 2-1 and 3-1. Both teams have scored again. I think this is another both teams to score match. I expect goals. A little bit shorter, though, than the Man City game. Minus 143 is the price for both teams to score here. I wouldn't probably bet that as a single, but I'd probably put it in a both teams to score parlay, potentially with the Man City Wolves, put the two of them together. If you're looking for another angle in the match, I think Ollie Watkins has got something to prove. He's a player that I think, he's been very forthright in the fact that he's not happy that Rashford has taken his place. Now Rashford is out. It's time for the England international to prove his worth. He lost his spot in the England squad because Rashford took it. He's lost his place in the Aston Villa squad because Aston Villa starting 11 because Rashford took it. And now he hasn't got Rashford there, and he's got a point to prove. He might want to leave Villa Park as well, so I expect him to have some kind of personal motivation in this match, and he's plus 145 to score at any time. So both teams to score, yes, would be my lean at minus 143. But if you're looking for a bet with a bit of juice in it, Watkins to score any time in a game that I do expect a few goals, plus 145. I think this will be an end of season humdinger, but I wouldn't trust Villa at minus 130. I think it's so hard to lift yourself up after what's been a season of so close but net so far.
Jack, you're on the other side of that coin with your selection. I'm sort of with Nigel here. I mean, I look at Fulham, and they've won at Chelsea, they've won at Forest, they've won at Newcastle. These are all teams, looking at Champions League football, and you put them in that Villa bracket, but you think maybe sort of class will out. Is that the angle here? What do you think?
I do. I think I get Nigel's point, and I agree with how I can see the game going. I think it will be an open game. I think there will be goals in it, and I just think Villa will have too much firepower for Fulham. Fulham I generally get wrong, to be honest, so it's not a bad thing for me to give this one a swerve. It's only a lean, but I've gone for the minus 0.75 Asian handicap for Villa. It's minus 106. Does mean that there is profit if Villa win by any scoreline. To get the full ticket cashed, you need a 2-goal margin of victory. They have just been exceptionally strong at home, and this is now all they've got to play for this season. They've got to go all guns blazing, to look to try and get in that top 5. They're going to pretty much have to win every game remaining and hope results elsewhere go their way. They're capable of doing that. Let's say it's up to Unai Emery to get his side lifted. So that is the big question mark, which would stop this being any kind of official play. But when you look at their record, 19 games unbeaten at home, that Villa Park is a fortress. We said, as you mentioned already, last year season we talked about it. It's carried on into this season as well, and they do have the ability to cope without Rashford. As I said, I've got this game on the newsletter on the inside of coming out for the weekend, and I do have a player prop angle for that one. So make sure you subscribe to that to see which player I go with. But there's plenty to choose from. Morgan Rogers, exceptional form, still doing well. Nigel's already mentioned Watkins, but you've got Asensio as well, and Milan, who's looking, all got kind of points to prove or reasons to perform. And so I think they'll outscore Fulham in this one.
Let's get to Everton Ipswich, which is Saturday 10 a.m. This is a tricky one, Nigel, because you can look at all the form that you want here. I mean, Everton are minus money. They're the shortest price they've been all season. Only 10 times in the last decade have they been minus 200 or shorter. They've only won 5 of them, but it's the Goodison factor here. It's their penultimate game at Goodison, and I just wouldn't want to bet against them here. But I can't. I wouldn't pull the trigger at minus $2. What are your thoughts on this one?
We're not playing well either. The most important thing, I mean,
Yeah.
the system that David Moyes come in, they work their socks off, and they are very, very hard to break down, and they use a lot of energy, and it's hard working, and it's been a long season. And the last couple of matches they've played, they've lost them both and haven't scored and haven't looked like scoring. So it could be a time where the minus 205 is built in. The price is built into the fact that Ipswich are relegated. That it's built into the price that Ipswich, Everton, as you say, about they're going to leave. It's a penultimate game before they leave, so it's probably an artificially low price. I do think they'll have enough to beat this Ipswich side. I really do. But I think I was very close to putting this as an official play, as I was last week in the Everton match when I spoke about the Everton-Chelsea match. And it's the under 2.5 goals. I just think this is going to be a 1-0, 2-0 Everton win. Scrappy affair against the side building for next season already. So I'm going to go for under 2.5 goals here. It's minus 112. If you look at Ipswich's last 2 matches, they haven't scored a goal. They've got beat by Newcastle 3-0 really easily. They got beat by Arsenal 4-0. So that suggests to me they've lost a bit of the fight that they had there in the season from a goal threat. Everton there'll be people who can't get tickets for them last match. There'll be a lot of fans who will have tickets, and last time they go to Goodison Park, and their last match is against Southampton, so you would expect them to win their last 2 matches here against relegated sides. The reverse fixture was 2-0 to Everton in the reverse fixture as well, and Everton to win to 0 was in my radar as well. But I think under 2.5 goals. Again, this is just missed out on the official plays, but I will be betting this under 2.5 goals. It's minus 112. I think Everton will be on tired legs, emotional legs, long season, change of manager, working hard. One of the hardest working teams in the Premier League, Everton. Small squad. I think their emotion will get them through the occasion, but I don't think it'll be pretty. 1-0, 2-0 Everton for me.
Yeah, I think emotion is the key word. I know it's the penultimate game, but there'll be a lot of fans going to this one that won't go to the last for whatever reason. Jack, what you got for us? Just a lean in this one.
Yeah, same page. And this, of course, obviously the traditional time in English football is a Saturday 3 p.m. local time kickoff. And this will be their last Saturday, 3 p.m. local time at Goodison. So I think there's something special about that as far as English football is concerned. And I think that will, again, be that special atmosphere. I think there's talk about, are Everton going to be able to put on a show? They're not the sort of side to be able to do that, really, although they did beat Leicester 4-0. That was their last win at Goodison. So I think that's possibly a little bit out of range, but I think because of the atmosphere, they don't necessarily need to do that. The crowd are already going to be up anyway. All they want to do is see them win these last 2 games. They can't afford to go out at Goodison losing to Ipswich and Southampton. So, yeah, I've got this as a 1-0 or 2-0 win for Everton. The lean for me is Everton win to 0 at plus 123. As I say, similar outcome to as it was in the reverse fixture. Dwight McNeil in and around the side now. It'll be a big boost to get him back. And obviously there's talk about Dominic Calvert-Lewin making an appearance for the end of the season as well. And as Nigel said, I think Ipswich already focusing on next season with the players that got there. They've got a lot of injuries as well. And you're seeing they're leaving those kind of assets that they're going to be selling on in the summer out of the side as well at this moment in time.
I think that Everton are going to have one of the biggest drop-offs when it comes to moving to a new stadium because it's going to be such a change for them. That's a conversation for next season. We'll see how it happens. Let's get to Leicester against Southampton, shall we, here? Because we've got Nigel's hot dog coming your way. Oh, I mean, Leicester Saints here, the two worst teams on all the metrics when it comes to the Premier League, Nigel, here. But Leicester are unbeaten against other relegated teams. It's a tiny sample size of 2, 1 win and 1 draw. Southampton, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat against the other teams that have gone down. How are we tackling this one? I mean, should bettors be looking at this one? I know you're hot dogged in it, and it's an interesting pick, but crikey, these two teams have stomped the place out all season.
They have, and but now they're up against each other, which makes it interesting. When they're playing against the teams that they're expected to lose, they're getting thumped. But now they're up against each other. It's a little bit about pride, isn't it? Both of them are the worst team in the Premier League. Everyone's saying Southampton are the worst team in the Premier League, and then on the stats, Leicester are the worst team in the Premier League. So it's a little bit about end of season pride, and I think they'll both give it a go here. I think both of them will give it a go. They'll want to win this match. A lot of teams will be relegated thinking next season, but I do think this will be a match that both sides will really be up for it. And Leicester have a very, very good record against Southampton as well. Remember, they won at Southampton 9-0. They're one of the highest ever scores in the Premier League a few years ago. And who scored a hat-trick in that match? Jamie Vardy. And that is where I'm going here. He's just announced he's leaving the club. He's a club legend at the end of the season. It'll all be about Vardy. All the media attention will be about Jamie Vardy. The whole build-up to the match will be about Vardy. Every single camera will be on Jamie Vardy. Nobody will care about the other 21 players on the pitch other than Jamie Vardy. And I think he is a player that will really revel in the situation that he is the star man. Well, I know Mrs. Vardy will revel in it. She'll love it. She'll love him being back on the team. She'll be, she'll be in her moment here. He's obviously been a legend at the club, won the Premier League title, one of the top goals. Is he the record goal scorer at Leicester? I think he must be close to being the record.
I think he might be.
Yeah, so he's a legend. So for him to leave the club here now. We've got 2 home matches to go. We've got Southampton at home, and we've got in the last day of the season, we've got Ipswich. Now, Vardy is going to score in one of those matches. And the question is whether he scores the first goal. And the reason I've had to go for this bet is because I wanted to go for him anytime goal scorer at plus 180 because I can see him taking every pen, every free kick, every kind of thing. Jamie, looking for Vardy. And there is a very small possibility he might even start and come off the bench, which is another thing as well. But he'll get a hero's reception, and he'll that even more so. Or he scores the goal and gets taken off to a hero reception. Probably more in his last match, but there is going to be an incentive for Jamie Vardy to score here against a side that have conceded, I think it's 80 goals in the Premier League season. Southampton have conceded, so he's got a chance. I've got a chance if I played against them. But let me say, so the bet I'm going to go for here is Vardy to score the first goal. It's plus 430 with Bet Rivers. I prefer Vardy to score any time, but I couldn't put it in a hot dog because I'm a fair man. I abide by the rules. I could say it was 2-1, but it wasn't. It was plus 180. But if you do want to bet Vardy at plus 180 score any time, take it. But I think here it's going to be the Vardy show. That's all that Leicester have got to play for now to give their Premier League title top goal scorer, the club legend, a big send-off. And I think he's going to get lots of opportunities to score in the next few games. And to get plus 430 is a big price. Let me just tell you this one thing, though. Today, you're getting plus 430 and plus 180. On the final day of the season, Jamie Vardy at home to Ipswich will be minus 250 to score at any time. And he'll probably be about plus 150 to score the first or last goal because if that's where people are thinking about it. Vardy's going to score in the last day of the season. Nobody's really thinking about it now. He's plus 430, which you would probably expect against the team the worst in the Premier League. So be one step ahead of the game. It will probably be a fantastic value loser. But anyway, Jamie Vardy, first goal, plus 430, my hot dog this week.
Brilliant. Look, read between the lines. Take the anytime as well here. He's the 3rd top goal scorer in Leicester's history. Top of course, is Arthur Chandler, 1923 to 1935. And second, Arthur Rowley, 1950 to 1950.
They love an Arthur there, don't they? They love an Arthur there.
Yeah, and if Jamie's half as good as those two, he might have.
Oh no!
Tumbleweed corners back.
You knew it was coming. Let's get to Arsenal against Bournemouth, shall we? Here.
What about Jack's thoughts on the game? Did Jack?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, we
we
haven't. Sorry. Let's get Jack's thoughts on this one.
Yeah.
Just concentrate on Brent's ending the show. Because every time you say a gag, you lose it.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone gives me criticism about just concentrate on the show production and stop trying to be Alan Carr. Talking about Alan Carr.
Half the panel. Fancy having only half the panel give their picks. Terrible.
Exactly, yeah. Sorry, Jack. Remiss of me. I must apologise here. You've got a slightly different angle on this one, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got. Believe it or not, I can't believe the words come out of my mouth. Southampton tied no bet.
This is why I want to move it on. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Don't blame you either. This is like a contest to see who's the sort of most or least abysmal in the Premier League this season, isn't it? It's like, been hands down Southampton most of the season, and Leicester have gone, hold my beer, we can show you we're even worse than you are in recent weeks. Like Ruud van Nistelrooy can't wait to get out of the place. Obviously, Jamie Vardy's leaving, so there will be that kind of atmosphere kicking in. But yeah, there's not much on this other than the fact that I just give Southampton having a little bit more to play for, and they're still desperately trying to get that final point to get them above Derby, the tied at the moment for the worst performing Premier League side in history. And I just think they've shown a little bit more about them than Leicester have, which is not hard to do. It's a very, very low bar. They've shown a little bit more about them. But this could either be a 0-0 horrific affair, or it could be 4-4 where it all just goes a bit crazy. So I'm taking the Southampton side now bet as a very, very tentative lean. So you should have moved on.
Arsenal versus Bournemouth as trail, 12:30 Saturday. Tea time game in the UK. Arsenal are plus 104 here. We've got Nigel's 2-unit play. I mean, Arsenal, they have to be favourites against Bournemouth because they're at home, plus 260 Bournemouth here. But obviously, Nigel, with Paris Saint-Germain next Wednesday, we've got to try and fade them, I guess, somehow. One thing that I thought is when Arsenal do rest players, they don't generally rest their better defenders. They've got more wriggle room maybe further forward. Are we fading Arsenal? And if so, how? How do you see it?
I wouldn't fade Arsenal. I actually think plus 104 is a bit of a big price, actually.
Tempter.
What price were they? What last season beat Bournemouth? -350 something.
I'll have a look.
They'd probably be about -$3 to beat them, I would have thought. But they did lose to them earlier in the season, obviously. I pretty much agree with you there, Dan. I mean, the defenders are going to be pretty much the same. I expect Ben White to return. But it's they're in their attacking positions where they're limited anyway, where when they do make changes, they leave themselves less likely to score a goal. I mean, Raheem Sterling will probably come in, and he's having an awful time of it in the moment. Ranieri will come in. Trossard played in midweek. I'm not quite sure whether he'll start. And Declan Rice looked pretty tired. You've got Saka as well. You've got to protect him. So team news is going to be absolutely crucial here. But you would expect the Arsenal reserves to probably edge it past Bournemouth. This Bournemouth side. I think this Bournemouth side were the first team in the Premier League to actually down tools, and they're close to the beach and they're on the beach. They've only won one in their last 11, haven't they? And they were really poor last week against Manchester United. They went in 1-0 up, and then Man United battered them, and it was a poor Man United side. It was a team after the what they're doing in European football here. I looked at this and I thought Arsenal were a big price, but I thought it could be a tricky one to go with. But I looked at their record after Champions League knockout stage. So in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, they've come back in those matches, and they're unbeaten. Arsenal in every single match they played. There's only 4 games, but in the knockout stage, the PSV they came back and drew and won, and they came back against Real Madrid after that match and drew and won as well. So they're unbeaten after knockout stages in the Champions League this season, and they've been given quite a bit of luck with the teams they've had, the players, the opposition they've had here. But I've opted to go for under 2.5 goals as my 2U pick. Arsenal's 4 matches after those knockout matches were 1-1, 1-1, 1-0, and obviously they went to Ipswich and won 4-0 after that high of the Real Madrid match. But I do think this is working pro. They have a huge game. The biggest game of their lives, biggest game of the season, Arteta's biggest moment, and they got to show a lot more fight and a lot more spirit than they did at the Emirates in midweek. So there's a lot of pressure on them to go there and not necessarily win the match, but go there and put it up in a performance. So that is definitely going to be on their mind. I can see Arsenal winning this 1 or 2-0. That's plus 650 1-0 and $8 2-0. Last 3 matches this season so far for Bournemouth, the last 3 matches that have all seen under 2.5 goals. They look a side that promised so much, and now they're going to end in mid-table obscurity. And Arsenal, it's all about the return leg on Wednesday over in Paris. Wednesday over in Paris. So I'm going to go for under 2.5 goals here. There's a good line of low-scoring matches after knockout stages for Arsenal. They're going to rest players. It's virtually going to be the Arsenal second-string 11, barring 3 or 4 key players in defensive positions, up against a Bournemouth side that have given up for the season. So under 2.5 goals for me, minus 109 is my 2U pick.
Yeah, and we know that Arsenal have been a massive unders team over the course of this campaign. That is a 2U play. Jack, what do you think here? I mean, you've got a lean on this one. You are fading Arsenal to a certain extent. I mean, Nigel's spot on, incidentally. Arsenal were out about minus 380 last season for this fixture. Different circumstances this time around. How do you see it?
Yeah, I like unders. Unders was going to be my pick, but because it's only a lean for me, I've actually gone with something a bit juicier. I've gone for a tie in the match at plus 270. I think just it's tough to oppose a rotated Arsenal side as far as backing Bournemouth to win it. But you can't get with Bournemouth when only one Premier League win in 9 either, can you? So I think it'll be a low-scoring one. It will be a rotated Arsenal. However they mix up that defence, it's going to be pretty strong. You'd imagine Raya still in goal, and as I say, then a combination of a fairly strong defensive line. The rotations will come elsewhere, and then can they break through against Bournemouth? And as far as Bournemouth are concerned, we mentioned it last week. I was on the unders in that game against United last week. They tend to create chances, don't tend to take them. They didn't really even create that much against Manchester United last week either, did they? So that's even dried off a little bit as well. But they've drawn a few. You look at Arsenal's last couple; they've tied. Bournemouth have drawn their last 3 on the road and 5 of the last 8 away from home as well. So there's kind of that consensus that if Arsenal don't nick this 1-0, I can see it being a 1-1. But I like unders specifically, but I've gone with the tie at plus 270 as a lean.
Yeah, Eva Nilsson is free to play in this one as well, Jack, I think, isn't he? Had his red card rescinded if you're looking at that. Brentford, Man United, let's be quick on this one, boys. I mean, Nigel, it's very sort of similar situation to United at Bournemouth, isn't it? I mean, the prices were almost identical. Brentford have been bet a little bit. What do you think on this one? United at Bilbao, of course.
Well, I mean, they're exactly the same prices as Brentford and Bournemouth, but the form that Brentford coming in is a lot better than the form of Bournemouth coming in. I think if you're looking for a team that Man United will not want to face after a trip to Bilbao, Brentford at home would be right up there. They know what they're going to come out fast. They're going to be flying at Manchester United. They're vulnerable defensively. Manchester United, they've got a dodgy keeper. They'll be right on him straight away. No wins in regular time in 7 for Manchester United. He said he's going to put the kids out. We don't know what's happening in Bilbao, but I think they're going to be legs weary, and I expect Brentford to do a number on Man United quite convincingly. But could I bet them at minus 167? No, I couldn't. But I've got to go for the tried and tested Wissa and Boma. Score any time. Plus 150 in Boma, plus 143 Wissa. 34 goals between them in the Premier League this season. The best strike force in the division. You're getting plus money against a Man United side that's going to be full of kids, and a Man United side that's going to be absolutely on its knees after a tough trip to Bilbao. So I'm going for Brentford to win this quite easily, and Wissa and Mboma plus 143, plus 150 to be on the score sheet.
Jack, what do you think?
Very similar, isn't it? Yeah, I've gone with Brian Mboma to score or assist at minus 106, so add in the assist to that option as well. I say it's a pick 'em between the two, and if you're not going to play both of them. Brentford obviously do play tonight as well. So as well as United going to Bilbao, Brentford do go to Nottingham Forest in a Premier League game on Thursday. So it's we're going to assume that they come out unscathed on that, these two. So I couldn't be taking the any bets on the normal money line or overs and unders without kind of knowing that fully. But assuming they both come through, Mboma was the one. Neither have got a great record against Manchester United, to be fair. Mboma's got 1 goal in 7 appearances. Wissa's no goal, 1 assist in 7 appearances. But when you look across the season to date, Mboma 18 goals, 6 assists, 2 goals, 1 assist in the last game against Brighton. He's the one I landed on, but so I wouldn't certainly put off Wissa. 16 goals and 3 assists. He's slightly plus money, so a little bit a better price on Wissa than Mboma. But I've gone with Mboma. Score assist, minus 106.
Yeah, tried and tested with those two for sure. They've been in really good form, and Mboma probably the slightly better player, I think. Let's move on to get some official plays on our next game. which is Brighton against Newcastle here. This is another Sunday game, Sunday 9 a.m, as that Brentford-Manchester United game is. And we're going to put 3 units in chips onto the table here from Messrs. Wright and Seeley. We've got Jack's 2-unit play. So Brighton plus 185, Newcastle plus 128. Newcastle, shortest price they've been ever for a Premier League fixture. Brighton. Do we play Newcastle? Do we play Brighton at the value? Jack, what's your 2-unit play?
My 2-unit play is Newcastle to win at plus 130. I think it's a really big price for a side that are currently, at time of recording, 3rd in the table. Obviously had that wobble against Aston Villa, came back firing. Yes, it was against Ipswich, but they got the job done. 3-0, pretty cosy. That one could have been more. And I say they've generally been in great form. Other than that Aston Villa game aside, they've been in fantastic form. And up against the Brighton side here that we've been talking about over the last few weeks about fading them. They got out of jail last weekend. They looked like they were going to lose. Going in the 89th minute, they were trailing to West Ham. Managed to get an equaliser, then managed to go and get the winner. But booed off against Leicester. There's a little bit of pressure coming on Hertzler. There's talk of discontent amongst the fan base as far as, is he the right man for the job? I think they've been spoiled over the course of the last few seasons with the likes of Graham Potter, Roberto De Zerbi in there, and they're still punching, for my opinion, above their weight. But look, they're not in great form. They've been conceding far too many goals, and that's the angle that I like here for this Newcastle side that we know are firing in those forward areas. Isak, not quite at his best at the moment, but he's still scoring goals. But supporting him, sensational stuff. Jacob Murphy in the form of his life. They've got great competition out on that left-hand side. Harvey Barnes has got the shirt at the moment. Anthony Gordon, you can tell when he comes on, he's desperate to get it back off him. That's always great for competition within the side. The midfield 3, I love how they continue to work the dynamism they've got, and they show it every single week. They give it all. They leave nothing out there. So I love that Newcastle. I just think they've got the ability to go and take this game to Brighton, or the fact that Brighton will come at them and they can really hurt them on the break in this one. So as I said, I just feel that Newcastle are desperate for that qualification for the Champions League. They've got it in their own hands at the moment. They can't afford to let it slip, and I think they will take advantage of it at a really good price here. I think this plus 130 just caught my eye. Too good to turn down, so is my 2-unit play.
2-unit play then for Jack, and Nigel, you're going to put a unit on top of that one and spin the wheel as well.
Yeah, I'm going with Newcastle on the money line, plus 128, 1 unit. It has moved a little bit since Jack. It's actually plus 128 now with Bet Rivers. All the same reasons he said there. Brighton conceding goals. You start of the season, everyone was saying Hurstler's one of the, what a great appointment. Tony Bloom's done it again, finding this young manager who's done brilliant. But they're going to end up in a real disappointing season. They'd expect the Champions League. They expected to win the FA Cup. They
spent a lot of money, didn't they?
They spent a lot of money. Their whole season was looking really, really good. I remember Tony Bloom talking at Cheltenham saying the next few weeks will determine our season. It's a really exciting time for the club. But it's gone backwards. It's really gone backwards. And he's a man that doesn't pull any punches. Doesn't worry about getting rid of someone. And Hurstler could be a casualty at the end of the season or before the season starts next season, because it hasn't really gone the way they wanted to do. For me, a mid-table finishing in the Premier League is a good year for them, but it's the amount of goals they're conceding. They dominate matches and with their style of play, but they're conceding a huge amount of goals. Newcastle are much more direct. Eddie Howe going down there as well, obviously your former Bournemouth manager, down to the coast. I think that he's going to be he'll be back, and I think he'll fire them into a big win. They've got goals. They scored at least 2 goals in 6 of their last 7, Newcastle, and Brighton have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 4 matches. So the goal threat that Newcastle offers is insane, and I fully expect Brighton to score, but I think Newcastle are more capable of scoring 2 or 3 here. So I've gone for Newcastle on the money line, plus 128. Isak is plus 132, our old favourite to score any time, which is, again, in a game full of goals, you wouldn't put anybody off that. But Brighton, just their season has completely fizzled out. And the other thing for Newcastle, it's a must win. They're next with the chase for the Champions League. Their next 2 matches are Chelsea and Arsenal before Everton on the final day of the season. So they don't want to be having to play Chelsea and Arsenal and trying to get 4 or 6 points in that match to get in the Champions League. This is a must-win match for them against a Brighton team that look tired, long season, and have got problems. So Newcastle for me, plus 128, my 1U pick.
There you go, 3 units. We are strong on Newcastle at Brighton this weekend. That is a Sunday 9 a.m. game. Likewise, West Ham against Tottenham here. West Ham plus 120, Spurs plus 195. I mean, Spurs in between bouts with Burda in the Europa League. I mean, it does give West Ham a bit of a fighting chance here, Jack. You've got your one you play here. I mean, everyone's going to be looking to fade Spurs. Is it still value to do so with the West Ham side who can't win, can't get over the line?
Yeah, and I agree. I am going West Ham to win. It's a slightly uncomfortable position to be kept back in and putting faith in West Ham, but at plus 128, I just think the price is too big, given how poor Tottenham are at this moment in time and how much they're going to have zero interest in this game at all. It's all about the Europa League for them, and it's obviously sandwiches right in between the two of them. There's got like a 2-day recovery time. I thought they were embarrassing against Liverpool really last week. I think they didn't offer anything at all. They took the lead and they seemed a little bit like reluctant to celebrate it, knowing probably what was coming. I thought the goal was going to be disallowed with the fact that it was so like kind of a meek celebration, having taken the lead at the Kop end in a big game for Liverpool. And Ange Postecoglou's post-match conference was nothing like him at all. It was a little bit embarrassing. It was a little bit kind of tepid. It was sort of, well, yeah, he's talked about the fact they're just going to take players out. They're going to rest everyone that they need to rest. And they're going to give a little bit of time to the players that haven't had game time just to make it up. They're taking players off at half-time, 2 central midfielders last weekend, 2 central defenders the weekend before that. It's like a pre-season for them. The Premier League at the moment is their pre-season going in and around these Europa League games. So, yeah, the problem being is West Ham are in awful form. Pressure's on Graham Potter. And I think that makes this something of a must-win for him. He knows, and everyone knows, that Spurs are going to go into this very, very weak. West Ham threw it away, and we could see it in that press conference after the game there, where his frustrations were, and it was a little bit edgy. But when you compare the prices, Brentford at minus 150 against Manchester United that we then talked about, and West Ham at plus 128 here. Brentford have only got 1 win in 10 at home, so they're not excellent form. We know they're capable, but West Ham have got the players that can hurt Spurs. Spurs will come at them in the way that they kind of do, but like a watered-down version of that. And we know that West Ham have got great players. They just need to get the best out of them. The likes of Kudus, the likes of Bowen, Fulkrug starting, for goodness sake, and play with the strength there with those players off him. So I think they've got it. I think it becomes a must-win. And I just think that Spurs have completely checked out of the Premier League. And therefore, to get anyone really at plus money, especially players that have got the ability to score goals like West Ham, I've got to take it here. So I say I fancy Bowen to get amongst it. He's good odds as far as his goal scoring is concerned, or to score assists, both plus money. 2 goals last week and two assists last weekend. I think he will be the difference maker probably in this game. But West Ham is my 1 unit play at plus 128.
Fading Spurs, Nigel?
Yeah, they've been bet again. They're into plus 120 now. West Ham against Tottenham. Tottenham on the drift 195, and I do expect West Ham to be bet even more. West Ham showed real good signs of a bit of improvement in that Brighton game. They'll be heartbroken that they didn't win that match. How they threw it away, I don't know. I just went on the Bowen angle. Bowen to score anytime, plus 160. I thought that was a good price. I think there's a lot of goals here. You saw the way Tottenham defended against Liverpool. Liverpool side that you could have got at them. They went 1-0 up, you could have got them. And then Liverpool just went through them like easy, didn't they? Just absolutely knife through butter. So, yeah, I'm going to go for Bowen score anytime, plus 160. We don't know what state Tottenham are going to be in, what game state the match in the semi-final against Bodo is going to be. But, yeah, I agree with Jack. But at plus 120, West Ham, I worry about that. But Bowen anytime, goal score, any goal, I expect goals. Plus 160 would be my lean.
Chelsea-Liverpool is the big game on Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Chelsea are plus 116. I mean, Liverpool won the title last week. Chelsea, we know, Nigel, gunning for a top 5 spot in Champions League qualification. And it's not quite the biggest price that Liverpool have been here this season. They were plus 230 at Arsenal. They're plus 215. But, I mean, this, to me, just haven't you got to bet? I mean, you can't bet Chelsea at that money against the champions, can you?
Well, I mean, no, you can't. It's factored into the price completely. I mean, Chelsea at plus 116 to beat Liverpool. It's just everybody thinking that Liverpool won't be interested in this match. And, Liverpool have won the title for a long, long time, and they've been interested in every single match they've played. It's not like they've eased up when they knew that 5 weeks ago they knew they won the title. And apart from the slip up against Fulham, they've been fantastic, and this whole season, I mean, they've only lost 2 games the whole season in 34 matches, and now we've got a team at a plus 116 to beat a side that only lost 2 matches. Team news is going to be absolutely massive for Liverpool here. We know that Chelsea need it. Chelsea's next 2 matches, Newcastle and they've got Newcastle away and Forest away in this race for the top 5 position. So they've got some real big matches. So this is a huge match for Chelsea. It'll be a party atmosphere for Liverpool. The one thing I did do, I looked at the so I was trying to sort of second guess the team news and try to think where the angles for Arne Slot would be in this match, or where the angles for Betis should be in this match. I looked at the so to win the Premier League, if you win the Premier League title, every player, you get 40 medals, and every player's got to play 5 matches play 5.
Yeah, it's changed, hasn't it, recently? It used to be 10 a few years ago.
Used to be 10, so you got to play 5 matches. So I went through the list of the Liverpool team and looked at the players who are on 4 or 3 appearances. I thought, well, if you've got someone who's going to start or who's going to feature, and there was hardly anybody. Liverpool have used a very small number of players this season, apart from a couple of kids who played on 1 appearance. It's more, but there's one player who's on 4 appearances, and that's Chiesa, and he's 12-1 to score the first goal, and he's $4 to score any time. So he's on 4 appearances. If he plays, he's definitely going to get a winner's medal for Liverpool. And, you know, obviously, at the moment, they're factoring that he's not going to play. But he's 12-1 to score any time, and 4-1 to score any time, and 12-1 to score the first goal. I know he's had some problems with injuries. He might be an injury concern, but that might be an angle to look at, Chiesa to score any time.
What do we like here? Jack, you're tempted by Liverpool at over 2-1. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't put much trust in Chelsea at the moment. They've got a fair decent record recently at home, but they've played sides that are down the bottom of the table. And I don't think Liverpool are going to down tools here for the reasons we've now talked about. So I've gone with their main man, their star man, Mo Salah, to score or assist at plus 100. I generally couldn't believe that price because, you know, it's factored into the fact that Liverpool aren't really going to try. But we talked about it right at the top of the show. Salah is that kind of player that wants to play every single minute, score every single game, or assist in every single game. He's also got that record on the horizon, which I think is key. He's chasing down Thierry Henry as the only player in the Premier League history to have scored 20 or more goals and 20 more assists in the same season. He's currently on 28 and 18. Henry posted 24 and 20. So he's going to go above that. And I think that opens up the door for goals and assists, and to get still plus 100 for either to happen, I just think is mental. And he's got a great record against Chelsea as well. 7, he's either scored or assisted in 7 of his last 11 head-to-heads with them. So plus 163 to score, nice in its own right, but to just take that down to plus 100 and getting your assists on side, I think is a great play. And it was very nearly an official one. But yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, we are a little bit Liverpool-centric for this one. We think that the prices are a little bit out of kilter. Final game of the slate is on Monday. It's Palace against Nottingham Forest. It's the FA Cup final I think that everybody wanted, but we're not going to get because Forest obviously were beaten. Palace made it through. They're plus 133 here. Forest obviously playing Brentford tonight ahead of recording. We're recording ahead of their game. And then plus 195 away from home here. Nigel, you're on same game parlay duty. You've designated this particular fixture for that. Give us your thoughts on the sort of money line and so on before you give us your play.
I think the 2 things you want to usually do in big Premier League matches is if someone's got like an FA Cup final to look forward to, like Crystal Palace have, a club like Crystal Palace, you want to fade them. And if a team plays on the Thursday and then back again with a short stint, you want to fade them as well. So I want to fade both of them. So that makes it hard. I mean, it's very difficult. You've got to think of what, you know, the man's Palace were absolutely exceptional Saturday. Mateta was superb. Eze was superb. Every one of them. Walton, every single player of the back 3 were amazing. And if they can play like that, they'll beat anybody in the Premier League. And I'm including Man City in the Cup final. I can't see Palace lying down. I really can't. I can't see them dropping that. But I think it's got to be in the players' minds, the young squad that they're playing in the FA Cup final in a few weeks' time, not to get injured, don't worry about it. Whereas Forest have got to get in the Champions League, and in their minds is thinking, well, we could be playing against the likes of Barcelona next season, so this match may be a match that the motivation comes into it, and I definitely believe that Nottingham Forest will have much more motivation for this particular fixture, but Palace have got the individuals. The one thing I would say is that every single time this has been the top flight Premier League game, it's been under 2.5 goals. And I was going for under 2.5 goals here. So I built a same game parlay around under 2.5 goals. So I've gone under 2.5 goals, obviously. And that's obviously because Palace have had that big win at the FA Cup semi-final, and Forest are coming from a match on a Thursday night, under 2.5 goals here. I've gone for Eze to have a shot. Doesn't have to be a shot on target, it's a shot. Shot on target. So let's get that right. Eze to have a shot on target. He averages 4 shots per match, not all on target. But this season he's having 4 shots per match. He might not play. And obviously you've got the main man, Chris Wood, to have a shot on target as well. He's very prolific when he gets a shot. His accuracy is very, very good. And his conversion rate is the highest of all the team players in the Premier League so far this season from the shots he takes. So I've gone for under 2.5 goals. Eze to have a shot on target, Wood to have a shot on target. It plays plus 340. But the reason I've done it is really to get a bigger price for the under 2.5 goal market. I think both of these will have a come down. And I think this will be a very, very low scoring game. And I expect probably Forest just to edge it, actually. Or I wouldn't be surprised to see it be a low scoring draw.
Jack, you've gone the other way on this. I mean, stylistically, they both sort of want to play on the counter, don't they, really? So I'm not quite sure what the shape of the game is going to look like here. How do you see it?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you look at the historicals on this, the recent head-to-heads, all those head-to-heads, they've all gone under. You look at the current form, last 7 of Forest's 7 away games have all gone over. So how do I see it going? There's too many imponderables to really get stuck into it, because team news for Crystal Palace and Forest have got to play after we've recorded this, so we don't quite know. Couple of key players out, completely changes the landscape. But I've gone with goals in it because I think the Selhurst Park atmosphere on a Monday night in the UK, Monday night football, will be bouncing just to drive them on. And I think Forest will be desperate for the win. So who knows where they're going to be in the league come kick-off on Monday. So I've gone with overs. I think it's going to be... I do take Forest probably to edge it, but with more goals in it than Nigel thinks. But yeah, I'll be cheering on his same game parlay, of course, because mine's only a lean.
Yeah, just a lean for Jack in the final game of the weekend. What's caught your eye there, Nigel?
Someone's broke down outside my house. And I got a feeling.
You got your wrench?
It's too hot for me to start pushing cars. I'm too old and too hot for that. And I just got a feeling he's going to knock on the door and take it. I've broken down. A van.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're a helpful guy. Go and give him a hand. Go and give him a push.
I get the old Sergio Tassini dirty.
Do you want centre court later?
This is the Sergio Tassini Mats Verlander range. Yeah. It is.
And the thing we can't see at this point in time is that is the only thing he's wearing at this moment.
It's
so hot in the UK. He's got his, there we are, the legs are out.
I am playing tennis, look.
Cross brand. He's got so many promoters coming out of his ears.
That is your lot. Enjoy.
Brought to you by Ribena.
Enjoy your betting weekend. Let us know what you're punting, of course. Good luck to one and all. We'll keep everyone up to date via our Twitter feeds. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show. We're back next Thursday. More picks, plays, hot dogs, same game parlays. And as I'm sure everyone is know, but if you've dropped onto us for the first time, we do have a live show featuring soccer more than anything else at 11 a.m. every single midweek day Eastern time, and it rolls on to a tennis live early midweek Monday through until Wednesday from 1 p.m. and we've got more to come. We'll have baseball and basketball shows coming to you soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're inching towards 9,000. We want to get to 10,000. Well, we'll get a bigger reach. Bigger reach means that we'll have more content for you for longer. That is your lot, though, from all of us for now. Have a good weekend. We'll speak next week. Goodbye.